This week in news surrounding Israel, Palestinian says Jews should return to Auschwitz. That's a headline. Stay tuned for all the details. Well, shalom, everyone. Welcome once again to this week's newscast. I'm Robert Gottslig, your host. And last week, a video was posted on X that showed a Palestinian man visiting the Auschwitz-Birkenau Holocaust Memorial Museum, where he called on Jews to return to the site where they belong. Have a look at this man's demonic hatred for the Jewish people.
من داخل معتقلات الجيتو اللي تخرجوا منها الصهاينة الله يرحم كل الفلسطينيين ويرحم شهدائنا وفري فلسطين وإن شاء الله بنتحرر منكم وبترجعوا للمعتقل أو بترجعوا لأرضكم وبترجعوا لأي مكان أنتوا فيه. المهم تطلعوا من عنا لأنه هاي أرضنا وأنتوا هان أصلكم من هان تخرجتوا من هاي معتقلات الغيتو. تحيا فلسطين يحيا أبو عبيدة.
You belong here? This is your place of origin? Long live Palestine? How disgusting is that? And while he is not among those who deny the Holocaust, he is among those who wish the Jewish people dead. And that demonic hatred is growing in our world at an alarming rate. And just this past weekend, I attended a pro-Palestinian encampment. Of course, we've been hearing all about those in the United States, and I hate to report to you today, but yes, they're here in Canada as well. And I attended one at the University of Toronto St. George campus on King's College Circle. And friends, there were signs posted all over saying, this is the Intifada, end the genocide, free Palestine. And a large banner saying from the river to the sea. Of course, that's their mantra. From the river to the sea, they say Palestine will be free. That's from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. Ask yourself, where does Israel fit in that? Simply, it doesn't. And therefore, they're calling for the elimination of the state of Israel and ultimately the elimination of the Jewish people. They were also calling Israel an apartheid state. And there was even a poster, as you can see, that said, "Glory to all martyrs." Seriously? I can't believe that here in Canada, we would allow people to glorify the killing of Jews and then allow them to spread evil disinformation about Israel. I thought to myself, pinch me, I must be in a bad dream or something. But I wasn't, because I was witnessing that with my own eyes. And I also got to see people all over that encampment wearing their masks and keffiyehs, you know, those terrorist neck scarves that Yasser Arafat made popular. And they were proud to be wearing them as they boldly condemned Israel, calling for their further destruction. One of the organizers, a day or two before we were there just this past Saturday, shared what their purpose was for the encampments and a list of their demands. Have a look.
Hi, I'm Erin. I am one of the organizers and spokespeople for U of T Occupy for Palestine, and we are currently at King's College Circle at the University of Toronto, standing in front of our encampment that we've set up, and we've renamed the People's Circle for Palestine.
Erin, can you tell me what your demands are?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have three core demands. The first is for the university to disclose all of their investments. The second is for the university to divest from Israeli apartheid. And the third is for the university to terminate all partnerships with Israeli academic institutions.
So with other universities that are in Israel?
Yes.
Do you know specifically what sort of business dealings or what universities?
Yeah, so the University of Toronto is an active partnership with Hebrew University, which is in occupied Palestine, and they are that partnership is focused on AI technology, which we know AI is being used to target Palestinians, and so that particular relationship is really egregious. But we are asking the university to end all partnerships with Israeli academic institutions, because those ultimately are helping enable the ongoing genocide that's happening.
How long are you prepared to stay here?
Yeah, so we are joining students from across North America. As far as I know, there's been 120 encampments at universities across the US. There's also one happening at the University of British Columbia, one at McGill, now one here at the University of Toronto. But it's important to note that these didn't start now. Students have been demanding divestment from Israel since 2006 at the University of Toronto. And we ourselves held an occupation of Simcoe Hall, the Mayor Gertler's, our president's office, which is actually right behind us a few weeks ago. And we were met with a non-answer, which is why we decided to escalate and be here today. And so we, will continue to make these demands until the university divests from Israeli apartheid.
Again, we hear the buzzwords: Israel apartheid, occupied Palestine, that Israel's committing genocide, and so on. I'll tell you, it should make us weep that these young people in our country have been brainwashed into believing a lie like that. And sadly, these universities in our country have become nothing more than a cesspool for anti-Semitism to breed, with very little being done about it. But while I was there, I took the time to talk to a few people, and most of them had no knowledge of the truth about Israel, and most of them didn't want to know either. I even met a journalist who I thought had some common sense. But as I was sharing some of the things about Israel with her, she looked to me and she said, that's just a bunch of rhetoric as well. And she walked away. There was, however, a few people that stood with Israel, and I was grateful for that, and I had an opportunity to encourage them. But even at one point, I was able to talk to a police officer saying that if I were to organize something like this, calling for the elimination of the LGBT community, I'd wind up in jail within 24 hours. Of course, the police officer nodded, but then he shrugged his shoulders as if to say, well, there's really nothing that I can do about what's happening here. How sad is that? And the University of Toronto isn't the only university in Canada to have these shameful encampments. No, they're also set up at UCB in Vancouver and at McGill in Montreal. Where are our leaders? Where are our mayors? Why are they not putting an end to all of this? And friends, you can call this free speech, as some are saying. They have a right to free speech. But when you are blatantly calling for the elimination of the Jewish people, you've gone way too far. I say enough with this demonic hatred. Come on, Canada. You're better than this. It's time to wake up. And the Jewish people just remembered the horrors of the Holocaust only a couple days ago. And oftentimes people wonder, where was God in all of that? Well, I can assure you, friends, that he was there. He was there. Just as we read in Isaiah chapter 63, verse 9, we read that in all of their affliction, he was afflicted. And there's no doubt, friends, that I have no doubt in my mind that God must have wept over those atrocities. And one day, though, he's going to judge those that committed those demonic crimes. And for those that persecute his chosen people today and think that there's no God that's going to come to Israel's rescue, that there's no God that's taking note, let me read to you what the King of Kings, what Israel's Messiah Jesus has to say when he returns one day at his second coming, when he comes back to rescue the remnant of his brethren, the Jewish people, as he comes to save them physically and spiritually. Let me read that for you in Matthew 25. I'll begin in verse 31. This is what we read. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the holy angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate them one from another as a shepherd divides his sheep from the goats. And he will set the sheep on his right hand and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right hand, "Come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me." Then the righteous will answer him, saying, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? When did we see you a stranger and take you in, or naked and clothed you? Or when did we see you sick or in prison and come to you?" And the king will answer and say to them, "Surely I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these," that's speaking of the Jewish people, "the least of these, my brethren, you did it to me." Then he will say to those on the left, and here's a warning to the world, "Depart from me, you cursed, into the everlasting fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you did not take me in. Naked, and you did not clothe me. Sick, and in prison, you did not visit me." Then They will also answer him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison and did not minister to you? Then he will answer them, saying, Surely I say to you, inasmuch as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me. And these will go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous unto eternal life. And so there you have it. Judgment is coming one day. And so woe to those who say the Jews should be returned to the ovens and that they should be eliminated from the river to the sea, because God says that those that do such thing are on a collision course with him, and they will lose for all eternity. And with that, and until next time, thanks for joining us on another episode of In News Surrounding Israel. God bless.